The Anderson Tech Symposium was in full swing. Silicon Valley's elite gathered to showcase their latest innovations. Through the convention center's glass doors, I watched my family members strut around their company booths, demonstrating software they didn't realize I had created. Jasmine, my brother Marcus called out, his voice carrying that familiar condescension, "Shouldn't you be at your little startup? Or did it finally fail like we predicted?" I touched the USB drive hanging around my neck. My first piece of code written when I was 16. The same code that had evolved into Phoenix Systems, the software company I'd built while my family mocked my computer hobby. "Still coding away in your garage?" My sister Elizabeth smirked, adjusting her CO badge from Anderson Technologies. "How quaint." My phone buzzed, a message from my CTO Michael, "Final system updates ready. All Anderson family companies are now running on Phoenix 5.0. They just don't know it yet." I smiled, thinking about how every major tech company owned by my extended family secretly depended on my software. Through shell companies and white label agreements, I'd become the invisible backbone of their success. And tomorrow everything would change. "Miss Chen," another message flashed, "pricing updates are ready to deploy. Estimated impact on Anderson family companies, $50 million in additional licensing fees." The irony was delicious. 5 years ago they'd laughed when I suggested developing enterprise software. "Stick to making websites for local shops," my father had said. Now his company couldn't process a single transaction without my systems. "Look who finally showed up," my cousin Peter announced, drawing attention to my deliberately understated presence. "Still working on that revolutionary software you talked about at last year's Christmas dinner?" If they only knew that the revolutionary software was already running their entire operations. That every time they bragged about their proprietary systems, they were actually praising my work. "Something like that," I replied quietly, watching Elizabeth demonstrate her company's groundbreaking payment processing system, a system I'd actually developed and licensed through one of my shell companies. My phone lit up again. "Market analysis complete. Anderson Technologies stock will drop 30% when we announce the price increases. Their entire profit margin depends on our software." I thought back to the family dinner 3 years ago when they'd all laughed at my ideas about integrated enterprise solutions. "Leave the real tech to the professionals," Uncle James had sneered. Now his company's entire infrastructure ran on my code. "Jasmine," my mother approached, her voice tight with familiar disappointment, "couldn't you at least pretend to be successful at these events? Your siblings worked so hard to build real businesses." I glanced down at my simple blazer, chosen specifically to maintain their perception of my struggling startup. If they only knew that Phoenix Systems was worth billions, that their real businesses were completely dependent on my technology. "Sorry, Mom. We can't all be as successful as Marcus and Elizabeth." She sighed dramatically. "If only you'd joined the family businesses instead of playing with computers in your garage." What she didn't know was that I had joined their businesses by making them completely dependent on my software. Every transaction, every process, every piece of data flowed through systems I controlled. "Hey sis," Marcus called out again. "Want to see some real technology? We're about to demonstrate our new cloud integration platform." The platform he meant was actually Phoenix Cloud, my company's flagship product, white-labeled through a series of shell corporations. They'd been paying me millions in licensing fees without realizing it. My phone buzzed with another update. "All systems ready for tomorrow's announcement. Legal team confirms our contracts are ironclad." "Tell me, Marcus," I said carefully, "how much do you know about your cloud infrastructure provider?" He puffed up immediately. "Everything. I personally oversaw the entire implementation. State-of-the-art technology, completely proprietary." I suppressed a laugh, remembering how I'd watched through video calls as my team walked him through the implementation of my software. How he'd taken credit for every feature I'd designed. "Fascinating," I murmured, checking my phone again. Tomorrow's announcement was ready. Phoenix Systems reveals white-label clients. Major tech companies face price increases. "Jasmine," Elizabeth called out, "why don't you watch my presentation? You might learn something about real enterprise software." If she only knew that every line of code in her presentation was mine. That her entire company's success was built on systems I'd created while they mocked my stupid ideas. My phone vibrated one last time, the final confirmation. Everything was in place for tomorrow's revelation. The contracts updated, the prices adjusted, the truth about to be exposed. I watched my family showcase their borrowed innovations, knowing that in less than 24 hours, they would learn exactly whose stupid ideas they'd been depending on all along. The next morning, I arrived early at Phoenix Systems headquarters, a gleaming tower in Silicon Valley that my family had never connected to their failing relative. Through multiple screens in my command center, I watched their companies start their day, every system running on my software. All Anderson family companies are online, Michael reported, monitoring the status boards. Running full diagnostics before we implement the pricing changes. I nodded, adjusting my impeccable designer suit. Gone was yesterday's deliberately understated outfit, replaced by the armor I wore as one of tech's most powerful CEOs. Elizabeth's trying to access the admin panel, Michael noted, showing me the logs. She's probably preparing for her big presentation today. Let's give her a preview, I smiled, typing a few commands. The Phoenix Systems logo briefly flashed across her screen before disappearing. My phone buzzed immediately. Jazz, something weird just happened with our systems. Probably nothing, but could you take a look? You're good with computer glitches. The condescension in her message was clear. Still treating me like the family tech support. System-wide update beginning, Michael announced. New pricing structure implementing in 3, 2, 1. Across the monitors, alerts started flooding in. First from Anderson Technologies, then from Marcus's cloud company, followed by Uncle James's software firm. One by one, their systems notified them of the massive price increases in their third-party software licenses. Ms. Chen, my assistant Sarah appeared. Your family members are all trying to contact their software providers. Should I patch them through to our help desk? Not yet, I replied, watching the chaos unfold. Let them panic for a bit longer. The emergency alerts were streaming in now. Asterisk critical system update required. Asterisk license fee adjustment pending. Asterisk service interruption imminent without payment authorization. Jasmine. Elizabeth's voice was shrill through the speakerphone. Our systems are going crazy. Can you come look at it? I'll even pay you your usual consulting rate. I smiled, thinking about the consulting rate she'd always underpaid me. Actually, Elizabeth, you should check your email. Phoenix Systems just sent out an important announcement. Phoenix Systems? What does that have to do with? Oh. I watched her face on the security feed as she read the email revealing that her company's entire infrastructure was built on my software. That her proprietary systems were actually my creation. This is impossible, she whispered. Phoenix Systems is a multi-billion-dollar company. They're the biggest enterprise software provider in the world. I finished for her. Yes, we are. Would you like to know who owns it? Before she could respond, Marcus burst into her office, his face pale. Our cloud platform, it's all Phoenix software. They're tripling our licensing fees. Not tripling, I corrected, finally revealing myself on their video call. Quadrupling. Standard market rates, actually. You've been getting a discount through our white label program. That discount ends today. The silence was absolute. Through the monitors, I watched their faces as realization dawned. No, Elizabeth breathed. No, you're just our little sister who codes in her garage. You can't be the owner and CEO of Phoenix Systems? The person who actually built all the software you've been taking credit for? The failure, who now controls every aspect of your technical infrastructure. The emergency alarms kept blaring across their systems, each one a reminder of their complete dependence on my stupid ideas. Let me explain exactly what's happening, I said, my voice carrying through video feeds to all my family's companies. Every system you depend on, from basic email to complex cloud infrastructure, runs on Phoenix software. Software I developed while you were busy mocking my career choices. But our proprietary systems, Marcus protested weakly, are all built on my architecture, I finished. Those revolutionary features you claimed credit for? I designed them. That groundbreaking cloud platform? My code. Every innovation you've bragged about was actually mine, licensed through shell companies you never bothered to investigate. The emergency alerts continued flooding their screens, each one representing another system dependent on Phoenix software. This is a mistake, my father's voice boomed through the conference call. Phoenix Systems is a major corporation, not some garage startup. I smiled, thinking about how they'd never connected my garage coding to the tech giant that powered their businesses. Would you like a tour of my garage, Dad? I pressed a button, activating the cameras in my executive suite. As you can see, I've upgraded a bit. The screens showed my command center 40 stories above Silicon Valley, where teams of engineers monitored the systems my family depended on. All those times you laughed at my computer hobby, I continued, I was building the infrastructure your companies now can't function without. Every time you dismissed my ideas, I was patenting another technology you'd end up licensing. Elizabeth's voice trembled. The new pricing, we can't afford it. It would wipe out our profit margins. I know, I replied calmly. I've seen your financials. Every major tech company in our family depends on artificially low licensing fees for their profitability. Fees that are now returning to market rates. The monitors showed their stock prices beginning to plummet as the news spread. Phoenix Systems reveals white-label clients. Major tech companies face crisis. You can't do this, Marcus pleaded. We're family. Family. I laughed softly. Was it family when you called my ideas stupid? When you took credit for my innovations? When you treated me like your personal tech support while building your reputations on my work? Michael appeared with another set of reports. Their emergency board meetings are starting. All companies are facing significant downgrades from rating agencies. Here's what happens next, I announced to my stunned family. Every system you depend on will continue functioning, as long as you pay the new rates. Every piece of software you've claimed as proprietary will be publicly acknowledged as Phoenix technology. Every innovation you've taken credit for will be revealed as mine. The screens showed their faces as the full impact hit them. Their perfect tech empires built on my stupid ideas were crumbling. But our companies will fail, Elizabeth whispered. We can't operate without your systems. Now you understand, I replied. All those years of treating me like a failure, and you never realized you were the ones who couldn't succeed without me. Sarah appeared with another update. The business press is requesting interviews. The story's going viral in tech circles. Of course it is, I smiled. Everyone loves a story about the underdog who secretly owned it all. The sister with stupid ideas who ended up controlling her family's fate. The alerts kept coming. Asterisk critical infrastructure update required. Asterisk license verification pending. Asterisk system access contingent on new agreement acceptance. You have 1 hour, I informed them. Either accept the new terms or lose access to every piece of Phoenix software. And before you think about switching providers, check who owns their core technology too. Marcus's face went pale. The alternative providers. All run on Phoenix architecture, I confirmed. While you were building your reputations, I was building an empire. Every major enterprise software provider either partners with us or licenses our technology. The monitors showed their technical teams scrambling, finally discovering just how dependent they were on my systems. Every attempt to find alternatives led back to Phoenix technology. One more thing, I added, watching their desperation grow. Those awards you've won for technical innovation, the patents you've claimed, the presentations you've given about your proprietary technology, it's all documented. Every time you took credit for my work, I kept records. The silence was deafening. Through the screens, I watched their carefully constructed world collapse. The garage coder you dismissed? I continued. She owns every line of code your success depends on. The sister with stupid ideas controls whether your companies function or fail. The family failure you mocked now decides your fate. Elizabeth found her voice. Please. We can negotiate. Like you negotiated my consulting rates? I asked quietly. Like you negotiated when I suggested partnerships years ago? Oh, sister. The time for negotiation ended when you chose to build your success on my work while treating me like a failure. The hour ticked by. One by one, their boards approved the new terms. Their companies would survive, but their profits would vanish. Their reputations, built on claiming credit for my work, would never recover. Send out the press release, I instructed Sarah. Make sure every tech publication understands exactly whose stupid ideas have been powering Silicon Valley's biggest companies. As my family's empires crumbled, I thought about success and failure, about innovation and theft, about family and betrayal. They had chosen to dismiss my ideas while secretly depending on them. Now they would spend the rest of their careers knowing that their failing sister actually owned their success. Miss Chin, Michael appeared one last time. Your mother is in the lobby. She's asking to see her successful children's offices. I smiled, touching the USB drive around my neck. Tell her she's in the wrong building. Her successful children's companies are the ones failing. The daughter she dismissed? She's the one signing their checks now. Sometimes the stupidest thing you can do is call someone else's ideas stupid. And sometimes, the sweetest success is watching those who dismissed you realize that they can't succeed without you. Tomorrow the tech world would know that the garage coder had become a giant. That the sister with stupid ideas had built an empire. That the family failure actually owned the foundation of their success. The stupid ideas had become the standard. And the family that mocked them would spend the rest of their lives paying premium rates to use them. As I watched them through my monitors, desperately signing the new agreements, I remembered every dismissive comment, every mocking laugh, every time they called my ideas stupid. Now those stupid ideas would cost them millions, and their success would forever be tied to the sister they tried to diminish. Send them all new ID badges, I told Sarah. Make sure they say, licensed by Phoenix Systems under their titles. After all, they should be reminded every day who really owns their technology. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just success. It's making those who doubted you pay for access to the very ideas they mocked.